Alright guys, so right now I'm going to show you my Predator's Mark bleed build. It's a high damage, high firearms, bursty style of build. You're going to be soaking aggro with your turret. There's tools to augment that. Does not have as high a toughness as some of my other builds. The skill power is okay, but I would prefer it to be a lot higher considering I'm going to use the Vigorous Chest Piece and Booster Shot to boost my damage even further. But there's a lot of different mechanisms that go into my survivability that I'll talk about in a few minutes. So I'm going to talk about all the Predator's Mark pieces first. On my backpack, I would much prefer this critical hit damage to be armor. Much prefer that. However, I did re-roll the main stat already, and I can't do that. And until I get another drop, I'm going to actually be stuck with this particular backpack. However, armor is very critical now. It does not scale the same way. I have not nailed down exactly how armor works yet. I'm working on it, I promise. But what happens is there's two different scalings. First of all, in the persistent world against enemy NPCs only, you're going to have higher armor. Your toughness is going to be higher, and you're going to be able to soak more damage. As soon as you go into the dark zone, it's actually going to take a chunk out of it. There's a rebalance that happens automatically. You're going to have less armor. In the neighborhood of about 10% if you've met armor cap previously. I've seen it go from 60% as a flat cap. That's as high as I've been able to achieve. I know maybe some people have achieved higher or maybe not. It might be a hard cap. I'm not really sure. But I have only been able to achieve 60%. I've never seen it go over that. And then as soon as I go into the dark zone, I drop down to about like 50 to 51%. So a flat, reduction of 10%. I don't know how the scaling on that works, but I know that it's very important to judge your stats both in and outside of the dark zone. Now, the backpack can roll armor. A lot of different pieces now can roll armor in large amounts. So it's important to get that as much as possible, I think, because the more mitigation you have, the safer you are. But it's not like last time where you can cap out at 75% mitigation regardless of your build. If you're trying to cap out armor, you will have to sacrifice other things for it. Now, 7% critical hit damage is not much of a sacrifice. That's not a huge amount, so I'm not really torn up about that. But this Predator's Mark backpack is okay. It's not that great, but it's okay. And then the two-piece bonus is actually rate of fire. That's important to keep in mind. So if you're using something like a Police M4 or an LVOAC, those are competitive now. And a 5% boost to those on top of the magazine that you can run is actually going to be pretty substantial. The assault rifle damage is huge. You definitely want that for the 3-piece. And then the 4-piece bonus is unchanged with the bleeds. And those are really good now because they can't be cleansed. Talking about the mask, I'm going to have Health on Kill. It's a firearms mask with a couple mods in it to augment stamina and armor on them in larger amounts than before. Stamina and armor can both roll significantly higher now in mods, but that's because everything was rebalanced, okay? That's not because they're more overpowered or anything like that. It's because they were rebalanced, and now those amounts are actually right in line with what they should be. Health on Kill is really important because you can get upwards of 40% really easily with your gear, and it's going to allow you to bounce from NPC to NPC, healing yourself as well as using your personal heal and all these different things to stay alive. And it makes solo play a lot more, worthwhile and effective. Enemy armor damage is great. You want to stack as much of that as possible. I know I have at least 20% on this build, which is basically a flat 20%, damage bonus to all enemies that matter. The red bar enemies don't have any armor, but the elites and the purples, they do. So it's really good to have. So it's a good mask, and I'm happy with it. Moving on to my pads, again, a lot of armor. That's a little bit more important, I think, than the critical hit damage that you can roll here or any of the other attributes. It's decent, but again, you can experiment because in this new meta, you're going to be able to mix and match into your own specific role, and a lot of things are going to be effective. So moving on, I have 11% enemy armor damage. That's great. Kill XP, that's really nice if I'm going to be leveling up. Of course, this is going to get wiped because it's a PTS, but this is a cool style of setup, and getting that chunk of increased kill XP will allow you to get more, experience from Dark Zone kills. And then once you get more experience, you can buy more because the vendors now have a ton of recipes. So not only recipes, but actual items. Every single vendor has like one of every single class of maxed out 229 items. So getting to Dark Zone rank 90, it's going to be pretty cool. And you're going to be able to buy a lot of things that are going to help your build probably. So Predator's Mark holster, you have armor. That's great. Awesome. There's nothing else on holsters that I can see that's worthwhile to roll except for maybe pistol damage if you're going exclusively for a pistol build. But, that's a fringe build that I might tackle later on. But right now I don't have the pieces for it. It's got some really great rolls. Again, don't think of this as higher than 1.3. Think of this as completely rescaled in a different way. It's a really nice holster, and I like it. So moving on to my gloves. Savage gloves are fantastic in this meta. In 1.3, they were great. In 1.4, they're godlike. The 10% critical hit chance is awesome. It's one of the ways that you're going to have to utilize in order to meet the critical hit chance cap or even get close. Because now, it's not like before where everyone's going to run around with crit chance cap. They're going to run around and be not even close. Most people have like 10 or 20% or 30 or 40 if they're really going good. And then someone that meets a 60% crit chance cap and builds, for instance, with an SMG with high critical hit damage, that's going to be a niche build that you're not going to see many of. And even if you do see a lot of them, it's going to take a lot to get there. That's true min-maxing. It requires gun talents, it requires gear talents, it requires different weapon mods, which now roll in a variety of different stat points. You got the main stat and 2 minor stat points. There's a lot of different stuff. So health on kill, really good. Assault rifle damage, a large chunk there. That's awesome. And critical hit chance, that's great as well. So moving on to my vigorous chest piece. It's a really high firearms roll. It's got firearms mods with skill power and armor in good amounts. You know, it's nice to have those in there in the mod slots. And then armor on the chest piece, very important. Health on kill, I think, is more important than exotic damage resilience. Now, I'll tell you why. Exotic damage resilience is extremely prevalent now. It's not like you have to throw on 2-piece final measure to then be safe from sticky bombs. You can just have performance mods that have EDR, or, you know, regular stamina mods that have EDR, or you can roll EDR on a variety of pieces. Like, you can achieve a lot of exotic damage resilience organically in your gear without even trying. So it's not something that you really have to build for unless you're tackling like a team of 4 sticky bombers, and then you might throw on 2-piece final measure or switch up your mod so that you get some more EDR. But I don't think you need to prioritize it on chest piece. 12% health on kill or 14% health on kill. It's really cool, and I would actually go for that. So that's my gear. Moving on to my weapons, I have this classic M44 carbine, which had a great damage buff. Bolt action snipers, this isn't even the good one. You can get much better bolt action snipers. Like the SRS is really competitive as well, but they got a huge buff. So bolt action snipers are not something you should deconstruct. You should definitely hang on to them until the patch. I have crap talents on this as destructive, which is nice, but, you know, skilled in the middle slot, meticulous, this isn't great. I would prefer something like brutal, deadly, competent, you know, typical god rolls still apply. They're still good. But it still has such high base damage, it can't be ignored, and I can definitely do some good stuff with that. The military AK-47M has enemy armor damage paired on top of the already 20% that I had, gives me at least 43% enemy armor damage, 21.2 thousand base damage on the weapon before crits are scaling. The gun has deadly, it has swift paired with the magazine with the attachments on it, makes it reload extremely quickly, and determined, since there's no longer 100% uptime on skills, something like determined is great, because if you're bouncing from target to target, soaking aggro with your turret, you can proc determined, kill the target, keep placing your turret, and actually then you can achieve 100% uptime on skills. You have the ability to, the only thing holding you back is player skill level. So in this case, I might not be able to do it because it's my 3rd day on PC gaming on the Division, so I really don't know what's what, and I keep messing up, but the build conceptually is sound. Now the magazine and all the different mod attachments, you know, I have mag size, I have critical hit chance. Again, I'm trying to get close to that cap. If I had a max out pulse on my team, I might actually be able to get, you know, significantly closer to it. Another set of critical hit chance right there. I got some headshot damage. I got some reduced threat, which they're reworking the threat system. I'm not entirely sure how that works again, but that just happened to roll in a large percentage on this muzzle brake. Has 4 attributes here. I'm not entirely sure if that's a glitch or if that's just a really good roll on a really good item. However, I like that, and I'm looking for more of those. And then I have more reload speed. So there's a lot of reload speed on this gun, allowing me to just pump out damage constantly. The way skins work now is really cool, actually. You just go into your modding of the gun and just select your skin, and they don't take up inventory spots. So that's really cool as well. Alright, so moving on to my skills, I'm going to use the flame turret. Got a huge buff. It has more health. It has more damage. I'm going to use this to soak aggro while I kill the targets and proc determined. I'm going to use booster shot because of my vigorous chest piece. It heals for a significant amount, but nowhere near as much as self-heal here. It's actually around, well, a little bit over half of how much overdose would heal for, but it's good enough for me, and if I'm proccing determined repeatedly, bouncing from target to target with my DPS build, I can keep popping booster shot, which is really cool. So, moving on to the talents. These aren't gonna change. I'm probably gonna run these no matter what, and maybe change 1 or 2 things like strike back for triage, or maybe strike back for combat medic, but those are the only changes I'll make. Adrenaline, I'm gonna keep because I want to be in my overheal constantly, because overheal is more effective than base health pool in terms of individual blips. And then you have one on the move, which is amazing. Okay, on the move is fantastic now. With the reduced time to kill, where you're actually bouncing from target to target, which you couldn't really do in 1.3 because you'd encounter an LMG and be like, okay, 16 magazines later, boom, we've killed him. On the move procs all the time. You can bounce, boom, 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 to target, and it's really nice. One is none for me has not jammed. I've heard news that it did jam for a fellow streamer. However, I didn't see that happen to me ever yet, so if it does, I'll let you know, but currently it feels like if it is still bugged, at least it's not as bad as it was. Nowhere near as bad as it was, at least personally for me. So those are the talents that I'm going to run right now. You could easily switch out some things like precision if you wanted to. Like I could take strike back and move it over to precision because I'm not going to be running pulse on this build. So maybe I'll rock that. But, you know, it's good to stick with your guns and pick the talents that you want. Now I am going to go over my character sheet really quickly for anyone that's interested. Base health pool is only 103,000, which in this meta is not that much. Moving down to weapon damage, extremely high. Critical hit chance is 15%. Now add on 10% for savage because that's conditional and the meter can't actually show that. Factor in something like a pulse and then that's significantly higher. I'm getting some really good damage. Headshot damage is up there. That's pretty nice. Moving down, reload speed bonus, 44%. I like that a lot. I mean, that's still quite high on the reload time, but 44% is good. Cuts down on that huge gap in between firing. Moving further down, survivability. Armor mitigates 49.29. That's what's telling me it is subjective armor and it does change in and outside of the dark zone, like I said before. Going down to exploration. Let's go back up to combat really quick and talk about a couple things. Damage to elites 0%, but health on kill is 40%. That's great. 40% health on kill. Bounce from target to target. Amazing. 43% enemy armor damage. That's kind of a flat boost in all situations where it's relevant, and it's really, really valuable. So that's something to keep track of. Now I'm going to go out here and organically show you some solo Dark Zone, PvE content. If I encounter another player, I will fight them to show you. However, I don't think that I will because there's very few of us on the PTS right now. This is early access to the PTS. I've encountered like a couple players and it's been the same few players every time. So it's not like I can reliably just go get a manhunt. It doesn't work like that. Let's put this down. Pop booster shot, and you can see that the time to kill is, I mean, I can get hit, but I have plenty of health. The time to kill is extremely short, so you can light targets on fire. There's utility. The turret helps tremendously. I can kill, the LMGers very quickly, and I'm bouncing from target to target, getting 40% health on kill every time. That's pretty cool. I think health on kill is one of my favorite things now, and I think that Nomad, because of that, is going to have a really good place with the regen and all the different mechanics there. It is bugged a little bit right now, Nomad is, but that's the point of a PTS, is that you're going to be able to test out these things. They're going to find these glitches before they're actually a problem. And as you can see, I mean, these are maxed out 32s. These enemies, it never used to be this easy to kill the enemies. Ever, ever, ever. In 1.3, this would have been a huge ammo sink, first of all, a medkit sink, and it would have basically drained the fun right out of the game. But now, because of the health on kill, I mean, I can let them damage me a little bit. I can pick a target, kill it. I can pop my heal when I do start to get low. I can, there's plenty of healing at my disposal. I can definitely drop down a turret. And then when I actually really need to, I can kill a target and get that health on kill. Boom. That's really nice. I think that this patch is really balanced. And I think anybody that's not giving this patch a chance should give the patch a chance, because it's significantly more fun than the base game is right now. I'm gonna have such a struggle going back to 1.3 in the interim between when the PTS ends or goes off cycle, when I'm not gonna be using it, and then when patch 1.3 drops, because this is so much fun. So much fun. So I'm gonna clear the blockade for you and then I'll call the video. I don't want to make it too long, but there's so much information to cover that I don't know. I just feel like I could talk for days about this. That's why I've been streaming on Twitch so much. For anybody that doesn't already know, I am on Twitch now. I have migrated over there. I will still stream to YouTube and still do YouTube content like I am right now. However, it's not going to be the main thing that I do. Twitch is going to be my new home. So I'm soloing the blockade, kind of no problem. I could go north to DZ6, but, I honestly do die there sometimes. So it is hard to solo. And here's the thing. I am not very good at PC. I'll be the first one to tell you. This is my third day playing it. I don't have the gun skill to really go up there, but to bounce between targets with the right, the right timing and the right use of abilities, you can really do some cool stuff up there. So, I think it's fun. There's not much more to say about it. Striker is actually a really good gear set I'll be covering very, very soon. I've already covered Alpha Bridge. I'm going to cover Firecrest very soon as well, because it augments the flame turret, which is already really, really good because they buffed it and because, it now soaks aggro the proper way. Yep, so health on kill, coming in clutch right there. Pop my booster shot, and as you can see, even if I were to shoot these targets and I can kill them before 10 bullets are even fired. let alone the bleed afterwards. And I just got a green from a purple enemy. They'll probably change the drop rates, but that's a really cool feeling. That built-in fact that you're getting loot. This game is viable solo now. And, you know, the build is just super, super fun. So, that's going to be about it, guys. I'm just going to end up killing these last few guys, and we'll call it there. If you want to support the channel, please check out the links below. I am on Twitch now under the same name, Upper Echelon Gamers, same name as the YouTube channel, so please check that out and drop a follow there if you'd like to. I will be streaming very regularly and moving towards hopefully getting partnered with them, and that should be a really fun time. So join me there if you want to. Check out the links below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, guys, have a nice day.